The UK was actually once doing quite well for itself. It used to be a close competitor to the USA, and in 2007 actually had a higher GDP per capita than the States. But now, if you're like most people in the UK, you're probably fed up. Fed up with hearing about yet another government scandal, wasted taxpayer money, or private companies profiting off public contracts, whilst delivering nothing but delays, broken promises, and inflated costs. Every year, billions of pounds vanish into the black hole of corruption, incompetence, and mismanagement. And who pays for it? You do, through higher taxes, crumbling public services, and a deepening distrust in the very institutions that are meant to serve you. But what if there was a way to stop this madness? A system the UK could adopt tomorrow to ensure that those who misuse your money are finally held accountable. Today, we're diving into two powerful agencies that could change everything. One, a ruthless anti-corruption watchdog, and the other, an auditing office with teeth sharp enough to track every single penny of taxpayer money, whether in the hands of politicians, bureaucrats, or private companies. Could this finally be the solution to the endless cycle of scandal and disappointment? And could the UK actually become a country where corruption is the exception, not the rule? Let's break down how this could work, why it's needed more than ever, and why you have every right to be angry that it hasn't happened yet. It's time to take your money and your country back. But before we dive in, let's put some real numbers out there, because it's not just about ideas, it's about your money. Right now, billions of pounds are lost every year due to government corruption, fraud, and waste. But if we adopted this system, how much could we actually save? Get ready, because these figures are kinda staggering. Let's break down the real cost of corruption and inefficiency in the UK, and just how much adopting these powerful watchdogs could put back in your pocket. These numbers do include the reforms from last week's video, linked here. The total annual savings would be £74 billion. Now that might seem like a crazy number, but let's break it down step by step. National government savings, 53.65 billion. We'd be saving 20 billion a year through anti-corruption measures. If we assume UK corruption adds 10% onto government procurement spending, which is an extremely conservative number, and we reduce that corruption waste in national procurement by half, this figure is justified. £40.7 billion a year through efficiency gains. If our reforms can save 10% on the £407 billion national procurement budget through better management, reduced waste, and centralised services, 10% could even be a conservative estimate, as the National Audit Office already estimates that UK procurement frequently overruns costs by 10 to 30% due to inefficiencies. If the 30% number was accurate, we wouldn't be saving 40 billion, we'd be saving 122 billion a year. Local government savings, 14.35 billion. In local government, we'd be saving 1.85 billion a year through anti-corruption measures. This figure is justified by reducing corruption-related waste in local councils by half. Improper payments in local councils can average between 3 and 5% of total budgets, due to poor oversight, nepotism, and conflicts of interest, Transparency International UK reports. Applying a conservative 3.7% proper payments estimate, reduced by half through reforms, yields 1.85 billion in savings on local councils, 12.5 billion a year through efficiency gains, reducing excessive outsourcing, overstaffing, and streamlining government operations. Many local councils spend 50 to 60% of their budgets on outsourcing. For example, Islington's 700 million spent on outsourcing out of their £1.1 billion budget. Efficient councils internationally outsource 15 to 20% at most, reducing the average outsourcing from 50% to around 20%, plus reducing overstaffing realistically saves about 12.5 billion annually. So to sum it up, 20 billion from national corruption savings, 40 billion from national efficiency savings, 1.8 billion from local corruption savings, and 12 billion from local efficiency savings. Now we can see the scale of the problem. How do we fix it? Well, on top of our reforms from last week, we're going to need more. The National Integrity Agency. This would be a statutory board under the Crown Executive Office we discussed last week. What powers would this agency have? If we want to seriously tackle corruption, our new agency needs to be strong, independent, and equipped with real teeth. So let's dive into exactly what powers this new agency would have. 1. The power to investigate corruption anywhere. The NIA would be the main agency investigating corruption. No more confusion about who handles what. Whether it's bribery, fraud, or officials abusing power, the agency takes charge. 2. Arrest without warrant. One huge advantage, agency officers can arrest suspects on the spot, no warrant needed. If they suspect serious corruption, that means no delays and suspects can't destroy evidence or run away. 3. Seize and search evidence. If the agency suspects evidence is about to vanish, they have the power to enter and search properties without a warrant. They can seize documents, computers, financial records, anything that proves corruption. It's all about speed and surprise. 4. Financial records. The agency can demand access to bank accounts, transactions, and asset details. If someone is living beyond their means, the agency can make them explain every penny. No more hiding dirty money in offshore accounts, they'll find it. 5. Compel testimony. No right to silence. This one is a game changer. The agency can legally compel anyone to testify. Refusing to answer isn't an option. People must cooperate or they face serious penalties. That means witnesses can't stay silent to protect corrupt friends. Number 6. Summon witnesses anytime. The agency can call anyone in for questioning at any time. Public officials, company executives, anyone connected to the case. Ignoring an agency summons is a crime in itself. Everyone is accountable. 7. Operationally independent. Even though the agency reports directly to the Prime Minister, special safeguards ensure no one, not even the Prime Minister, is untouchable. An independent panel, or even the monarch, can authorize investigations into top officials. That ensures true independence and no political interference. Why are these powers so important? With these powers, the agency becomes a real anti-corruption powerhouse. They can act quickly, get deep into financial trails, and ensure that justice can't be delayed or avoided. That's how we restore trust and integrity in our government and businesses. Now, the agency wouldn't be prosecuting anyone. It goes to the Crown Prosecution Service, which decides whether to bring charges. This keeps prosecution independent. The agency investigates, and the CPS prosecutes. No conflict of interest. Who exactly would the agency target? Now, let's be clear. The agency's strong powers won't affect everyday citizens. Instead, it's only focused on government officials, civil servants, and private companies involved in government contracts. Essentially, anyone entrusted with public money or authority. We must create a culture of accountability. Holding a government role or handling public funds is not a privilege. It's a responsibility. When you take on these roles, you're trusted by the public to act with integrity, and with great responsibility comes greater accountability. Yes, that means when you hold public power or manage taxpayer money, you might have to give up certain protections, like the right to remain silent during agency investigations. Why? Because transparency and accountability in these positions clearly aren't being upheld. If you're entrusted with public resources, you must be ready to prove your integrity at any time. The bottom line is, this isn't about punishing anyone, it's about protecting the public trust. Powerful roles come with serious responsibilities. The agency ensures no one abuses that power. Now that the agency's in place, it's time to move along to auditing. Introducing the Auditor General's office. We're talking about transforming how public money is protected in this country. Our AGO wouldn't just be another auditing body. It would be a powerful, independent watchdog, ensuring every pound of taxpayer money is spent responsibly, transparently, and honestly. Let's deep dive into exactly what duties and powers this new office would have. So, what would the office actually do? Well, the Auditor General would be required to audit every single government department, including all ministries, Parliament itself, the Supreme Court and all lower courts, local authorities and public agencies. They'd examine finances thoroughly, making sure there's no waste, no fraud, and no abuse of taxpayer funds. It doesn't just stop at government. The office would also audit public authorities and any private company or individual handling public money. Perform follow-the-dollar audits, tracing taxpayer money from government into private hands, ensuring it's always spent as agreed. Now, to do all this, the Auditor General's office needs serious powers, and they'd have them. Here's what that'd look like. 1. Unrestricted access to all records. The office's auditors would have unlimited access to all financial records, contracts, emails, and documents related to public funds. No exception, no delays. If public money is involved, the office can see everything. 2. Demand explanations from anyone. The office could require government officials, civil servants, or private contractors to provide explanations or documents immediately. Refusal is illegal. There's no right to remain silent during these audits. 3. The power to enter and search premises. The office could enter any premises of government departments, courts, councils, or private companies managing public money anytime without notice. Once inside, they'd have the right to search freely, copy documents, and take evidence if needed. 4. Seize evidence. If the auditors suspect some wrongdoing, they have the power to seize computers, documents, or other evidence immediately. 5. Question witnesses under oath. The office can even examine people under oath, making lying a serious offense. These answers must be truthful, ensuring nobody can cover up fraud or misuse. 6. Freeze payments immediately. If the office finds suspicious activities, they can freeze or suspend payments instantly, stopping fraud or waste in real time. This protects your money before it's lost. 7. Recommend legal action. If the office discovers serious wrongdoing, they can recommend prosecution or disciplinary action. If corruption is suspected, they'd refer cases directly to the National Integrity Agency for further investigation. 8. Override secrecy laws. No secrecy or confidentiality law can stop the office from accessing information. Even classified or secret files must be provided. Public money means accountability. Again, the office will only be targeting government officials, civil servants, or private companies managing public contracts or funds. We can also talk a bit more about the follow the dollar audits. These are powerful specialized audits that trace taxpayer money beyond the government, right into the hands of private companies, charities or NGOs, or even individuals who receive grants, loans, subsidies, or government contracts. The office will follow the money to ensure it's being spent exactly as promised. No more private companies taking taxpayer money and then cutting corners or wasting your funds. The office will be required to submit clear, detailed annual reports to Parliament. These reports would be fully accessible to the public, ensuring complete transparency. They'd cover key findings from the audits, especially serious issues or misuse of funds, recommendations for fixing problems or improving systems, and highlighting good practices. The office presenting its findings openly means public officials know they're being watched, private companies know they must be responsible with taxpayer money, and the public stays informed and can demand action from their elected representatives. This creates real accountability. If someone misuses funds, everyone knows and action can be taken immediately. These strong powers and duties are crucial because public money belongs to you, the taxpayer. Our Auditor General's office will be a powerful guardian of public funds, ensuring your money is always spent wisely, fairly, and transparently. It's about restoring trust, ending corruption, and ensuring governments always answer to you. But these agencies won't just catch corruption and waste after it happens. They'll also have the power to recommend critical policy changes by regularly identifying gaps, weaknesses, and loopholes in current laws and financial procedures. The agency and the office would advise Parliament on how to tighten regulations and close these loopholes permanently. It's about real change, not just temporary fixes. Also, remember our regional hubs from last week? Well, each hub will be gaining a regional agency and office department to ensure proper decentralization. So, there you have it, a powerful system that could tackle corruption, eliminate waste, and finally hold government officials and private contractors accountable for every penny of your money. Now we've seen exactly how a strong anti-corruption agency and a fearless auditing office could change the game completely. No more endless scandals, no more wasted taxpayer funds, and no more frustration at politicians who never seem to learn. But now, you've got to ask yourself, why isn't this system in place already? Who benefits from keeping things as they are? And how long will UK citizens put up with this? Change won't come easily, but it can come if enough people demand it. Because ultimately, it's your money, your government, and your future. It's time to say enough is enough. Don't just sit back and accept it. Share this video, talk about these ideas, and demand more from your representatives. Because real change only happens when people like you speak up and refuse to settle for anything less than full transparency and accountability. So if you enjoyed the video, guys, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Together, we can make a real difference. See you next week when we can start to recorrect some of the fundamental flaws in the UK economy. See you guys.